I have a presentation, like, it's a standard one, but is good stuff in there, especially if you yourself want to propose this culture of life to people. I had a really good Dominican priest once say to me, he says, look, when it comes to our faith or any aspect of our faith, we have to propose it in a gentle, attractive, but courageous way. He says, like, so not to impose it. He says, be like the butterfly and not like the wasp. Because like if you're at a picnic or whatever and you see a beautiful butterfly, you're going to try and catch it, you're drawn to its color. People like the butterfly. But if you're like a wasp coming in, going to sting someone, you're like, oh, if that wasp comes anywhere near me, I'm going to kill it, So like we have the wasp and the butterfly both pollinate the flowers, but we want to try and pollinate them in a nicer way. So like I always think that whatever you're doing, whatever aspect of your faith, you're trying to give it to someone. We're just proposing it, but be courageous, don't, because the truth is on your side. So throw on here. Let me see, share, and here we go. Boom. So I'll just fly through this, and again, write in any questions to the message bar, and I'll try and answer them as we go along. Or if something is eating at you, shout it out. But the message bar, I think some of the questions, most of them get answered as we go along anyway. So let me see, share this. Okay. And right job. There you go. Boom. Right. So if you did this, I often start with this, especially with the kind of more university students. It's an interesting quote from a neuroscientist, but it just says where we're at, and also the friends you're going to be speaking to are that as well. Like, high intelligence is not at all correlated with being open to changing one's mind. Instead, formidable intelligence often just enables people to pick holes in any evidence, no matter how true or compelling, that contradicts their views. And this enables them to confirm their biases. So my friend Louise, she runs Abortion Recovery Care Helpline. She has a nice saying, I use it a lot, is people don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. So that's the big thing is, like you say, being pro-life, being a good Christian, being a good Catholic. We want to outlove those who are opposing us. That's what we're aiming for as well. So let me see. Click on here. This thing. Oh, good. So anyway, that's topic. If you, my name, I always use this in school, like the Emmett in the Lego movie. I love that movie because the guy's name's Emmett. He's a master builder. He's a special one. But the only other reason I like that movie is the girl in it. What's the girl's name in the Lego movie? Do you remember? The love interest. Do you remember? Anybody? No Lego movie fans? The name is Lucy, and that just happens to be my wife's name. So it's like our love story put into Lego brick. But all the students like that anyway. But look, guys, anything like when it comes to this, like, it's all about the definitions as well. But like always, any topic, define it. Abortion is a loss of pregnancy by artificial means, so it's intentional and it's artificial. One good thing is to get clear is like abortion is one thing and miscarriage is something very different. Like you have a lot of like medical students and medical staff saying like, oh, a miscarriage is a spontaneous abortion or it's a natural abortion, but that's something that's it's very, very different. If you see the sign language, let me see if I can do this. This could be interesting. So the sign language for abortion is this. So a baby, okay, and the clasp, and then cast out. So that kind of that's abortion, okay. But the sign language for miscarriage is this, baby, and then that motion of flowing away. So like in sign language, there is no mistake of what one is and what the other isn't. But it's always good to know, very different. Whereas the miscarriage can happen at any stage of pregnancy. Now, can someone shout out how many months is a woman pregnant? Go on. Yeah, how many weeks? How many weeks?
40.
Bang on. See, you're much better than I. When I answered that question, I said 36 because 9 by 4 is 36. So your 9 months can be a bit misleading, but it is 40 weeks. And like that, any girl today, tomorrow, when she finds out she's pregnant, maybe 9 or 10 weeks, she'll then be given her due date on the 40th week. So yeah, so like, well, miscarriage can happen at any stage of pregnancy, and in late term, you could call it a stillbirth. But it's just it's good to know that, because like a miscarriage, abortion, the names draw up different different feelings. If you told a girl who had a miscarriage she had an abortion, it might have a bad effect on her. But when it comes to this topic, I like to always approach it from this perspective. What about the girl who's already had an abortion? What with her? Because like every single classroom I walk into, I always presume there's at least one person there who's either had an abortion or whose sister or whose cousin or whose mother has had an abortion. So when I'm not giving talks or whatever, I also help out with Abortion Recovery Care Helpline. That's ARCH. Now you may want to screenshot that. There's also another name. There's another number now. It's a free number, 0300. I think it's free anyway, but Arch, if you want to screenshot that, but you can just Google Arch as well. It's usually high up on the Google ads. We try to keep it up there if Google allows. But so with Arch, I'm also a trained befriender. I don't usually do that now because, say, I have young children in my house and I couldn't answer the Arch phone because if you had a girl who's struggling after having an abortion, the last thing she wants to be hearing is little children in the background or maybe a baby crying in the background. So only when I'm in the office will I answer the Arch phone. We have other people who's answering that now, but I'm trained to listen, reassure, and refer on the girls, and also 10% of the calls are guys. And they just refer them on to Claire. Most of the time, they want to just have someone to listen, and that's the most important thing. Like just someone to actually be there, and like we already know what they're going to talk about before we answer the phone. So the conversation usually is very easy, and it just flows out of them because once they start talking, it's like they can't talk to anyone. There's a woman who lives in Norwich. She told me I could share the story with you. She is, she's a fairly senior lady. She had her abortion back in 1967. That's when the first year it was illegal. But so she had her abortion, and she now has her own children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren. But every time there's a birthday, now, it's a wee trigger. Like that's the way there's little triggers that affect all of us. And that trigger, she's back in that room where she didn't want to be. She was kind of coerced into abortion, and like it's just a a reminder of that moment in her life. And so she then phones us, and then by talking to us, her anxiety drops, and she just gets back onto a level playing field again. Because I always say to someone, if anyone is struggling after an abortion decision or someone else's abortion decision, like you don't always have to feel that way. Whatever you're feeling right now, that doesn't always have to be the case. And Arch helps people, especially our counselor Claire. She is fantastic. Compassion Center therapy, and that is it. Because like we care about the girl who's involved in abortion, we also care about the unborn human. We care about everybody. We care about the nurses who have to be involved in the procedures. So like, and that's it. Like, so the Arch is so important because after an abortion decision, I said 10% of calls are guys. Like to be honest, look, is any guys I talk to on the phone is the same story, and just pretty much the same story. The guy phones up, he says, "Oh, his ex-girlfriend's after having an abortion or whatever," and he keeps phoning the hospital because up here in Scotland, the abortions are carried out in the hospitals. There's no abortion clinics, so he's phoning the hospital wanting to know if it was a boy or a girl, a son or a daughter that he lost in the abortion, and the hospital tell him not to stop phoning. It's none of his business. And that leads to kind of a disenfranchised grief that can also affect the girl, because what often happens is after an abortion decision, if a girl, she then, if she regrets it, she feels she can't talk about it. And if she does talk about it, usually she is met with kind of like one girl, she told me she told her boss, her manager, she needed like a week off after her abortion. And her manager said, like, what's the big deal? You just had an abortion. Why do you need extra time? Like he was making little of it and kind of thought she was just trying to skive off. It's just like, of all the things she needed right then, she didn't need her manager thinking she was just wanting to skive off work or something. She needed someone to look at. She needed time out, and she needed someone to care for her. But yeah, so that's what. So Arch is there because after an abortion decision, a person could be affected by any one of these: low self-esteem, or nightmare flashbacks, or suicidal thoughts, or numbness, or substance abuse, relationship problems, guilt, grief, panic attacks, or depression. anxiety, post-traumatic stress, anger, or self-harm. So like any one of those is not good, but a combination of them could be fatal. Like sometimes I might even have someone phoning up saying, look, I just want to end my life because I want to be with my baby again. So you just have to, listen and de-escalate that situation, and we often sometimes call in other more local, say, support as well. Like that, you might just need to go see your GP and stuff like that. So like but Arch is really, really good, and we also have befrienders all across England. So if anyone is ever interested in doing something like that, I tell you, it's an amazing privilege to be able to be on the other end of the line to those people who are in so much pain, and to help them get back on a better track. So Arch is really, really good, and you don't need it. If Arch, they're there, they care, and that's it. And always have that there for any of your friends. I would also say as well, if you're on this topic, like what can often happen, we just mentioned this before this group opened up there, was if you're talking about abortion, or abortion comes up in a house party situation or out in the pub, often you can be met with a very a lot of venom or a lot of venting, and that's normal because. And if there's someone is very emotional, there's usually a reason for that, and that could be where they were directly involved in an abortion decision, or there was their sister or whoever. So just know that, and we tread carefully, okay? But look, new life. My big question often is when do you become human? So when were you human? And this is a big moment here. So what you see there is, so you have a female egg cell. So girls, you have 2 million eggs in your system. Ever since you were the size of I don't have it. I usually have a 50p coin. So when you were the size of a 50p coin in your mother's womb, you already had 2 million eggs in your body, waiting until puberty will hit, years later, and then you ovulate once a month, and you release 1,000 to 2,000 eggs in your lifetime, depending on the girl's circumstance and the length of her fertility. So 1,000 to 2,000 eggs in a lifetime, but there is actually 2 million eggs there. So all of you were one of those 2 million eggs. You could be any one of them inside your mother. Also, during sex, guys can release up to 400 million male sperm cells on average. Okay, that's on average. You could be a super guy or not so super. It's not all about numbers. It's okay, honey. We love each other. Anyway, so the guy's confidence. Anyway, so 400 million male sperm cells. So multiply 400 million. You could have been any one of them. You could have been any one of 2 million eggs. So 2 million by 400 million is, only 2 students ever got this right, 800 trillion. So the chance of you being here right now in this moment in time in history is 1 in 800 trillion. Now, we all watch those romantic comedies on, Amazon and Netflix and whatever, and the guy saying to the girl, oh, you're 1 in a million. Don't sell yourself short. You are 1 in 800 trillion. You are a big deal. Each one of you is. Another sperm cell, you could be a different sex. Another egg, it could be a different hair color. Like it's crazy. Like the chance of you being here. We all want to win the lotto. I love asking that in school. Hands up who wants to win the lotto, and everyone puts their hand up. I said, but you guys, you've won the biggest lotto there is, the lotto of life. There is only one of you in all of human history, and especially when there's twins as well, identical twins in the class. That's a lot of fun, because they would they'd have different fingerprints. There's different tastes. They wouldn't get the same score in the tests. They have different subjects, whatever, and one is usually more assertive than the other. That's just the way it goes. You're totally unique and unrepeatable. Because when that sperm and egg become joined together, fused together, we have your first profile picture if there was Instagram in the womb. I'd like to see Kim Kardashian airbrush that, feeling frumpy today. So, but this is what blew my mind. When I was 25 years of age, I heard a girl who just happened to be my wife. She said to me, from that moment right there, from that twin-celled human embryo to you right now, from that to me right now, nothing has been added or subtracted. You just need time to grow. You need shelter and food. And most of the people I talk to, they're not living in their own flat at the moment. They're not paying their own bills, but you guys, I'm sure, are. But that's the way it is. Like, you're, shelter, food, basic things. But all your DNA is present there. And if I said to you, what does your DNA tell me? If I had your DNA, I know what? If you're a boy or a girl, hair color, eye color. Do you know what? There are some scientists who have the technology. They can look at an embryo in their lab and they can tell us, okay, we're looking at a blonde female with blue eyes who will reach 5'9" in adulthood. Like they can already tell the height. I don't know how they do that. And also there's ones in California saying they can measure intelligence. I don't get that. Anyway, it just blows my mind. But it's all there. It's in there. It's in those that small human embryo, and it just needs time to grow. Look, and I see all these quotes, big quotes, guys. See things like we can always use. We're tempted to use quotes. Oh yeah, life begins at conception. This doctor said, or professor said, or whatever. Human development is a continuous process that begins when the ovum from the female is fertilized by the sperm from the male. But guys, I'd rather show you the moment when life begins, and I hope this works. It usually does. It's usually a little small video clip. I'll show you what. Let me see. Does it work? Can you see it? Okay, wait, hold on. And can you see that? Did you see it? So there's 9 female egg cells on that platter. And when the sperm and the egg become one, there's a bright flash of light. So when you became you in the secret recesses of your mother in her left or right fallopian tube, boom, a bright flash of light. You're here. And just pull in scripture if you want. Yeah, like I don't usually pull in scripture in a talk, but you're a scripture group, let there be light. And that's it. God, there was light, and it's fantastic. So yes, you are 1 in 100 trillion. Yes, you began with a bright flash of light, and that moment of conception started a process that has led you to where you are today. Now, I always ask, hands up who believes in human rights. Hands up anyone here who doesn't believe in human rights. There was a girl in a school last week and she didn't have her hand up. I'm like, why is your hand not up? Do you not like human rights? And she says, well, I'm more for cats. I was like, okay, yeah, free the cats, whiskers for all, So yeah, look, we might really like cats and whatever and animals and cute rabbits, but we all like human rights. But if I said to someone, what about this human's rights? What do you think people would normally say to me? What do you think the response I would normally get? If I said, what about this human's rights? What do people, do you think, would say? Yeah, not a human. One guy said, is that the moon? Another guy asked me, is that the washing machine? He obviously never put on a wash in his life. Okay, I said, no, that's not a washing machine. It's not the moon. Don't know what he's smoking, but anyway. But that is, okay, so to answer the question, what is that? Let's ask one more question. What is its mother and father? Is its mother and father human? Because a human guy and a human girl, when they get together, jiggy, they don't make a cat, okay? Meow. You never hear of a guy and a girl on a Saturday night, saying, oh, let's get together and make a puppy. It's not going to happen. No matter how hard they try or what they might be smoking, they ain't going to make a puppy, right? They are only going to make 2 humans make a human, 2 cats make a kitten. And what is this? Can anyone say? You can unmute 1 or 2. It's I can see someone say dolphin. I can read lips. It's okay. Dolphin, yes. So this is a dolphin fetus. Okay. Now this is a real photograph taken inside mama dolphin. Okay. Don't ask me how the camera got there. It's very small. And so the camera is in there, and it's able to take photographs of life at its earliest stages. So this is the technology now we have. It's more advanced every year, guys. Like, sure, look at you upgrade your phone. It's amazing. Like the photographs I'm taking now, it's unbelievable. Like So look, guys, that is a dolphin fetus. Now, when I was in school, I was very pro-choice, pro-make Emmett's life easy peasy. All I cared about in university and in school was playing sport, winning trophies, and kissing girls, and getting by. On the what do you call it? Getting by when it came to exams, doing enough that would get me that degree or whatever that will eventually get me a job and make lots of money, or else I could be just a professional sports star. That's all I cared about. But I was a student in the class who would say, "Oh, it's only a fetus. It's only a fetus. It's only a fetus," and that was me. That's all I contributed to class for a number of years. But what I was saying was actually incorrect, because a fetus doesn't tell us what something is, but how old something is. So this is a dolphin at the fetal stage, at the fetal age, because many species have fetuses. Cats have fetuses, dogs have fetuses, even, say some, sharks and that have fetuses. And this is a elephant fetus, wee baby Dumbo. There you go. That's amazing. Like the mother elephant is like pregnant for over 2 years. It's crazy. But so that's an elephant fetus, and then we have a human fetus. So this is a human fetus at 20 weeks. So halfway through pregnancy, this is what you look like. Now, hands up if you have a black and white image of your ultrasound at home in your baby book with your mother. Anybody? Any ultrasound images? No? Guys, what type of childhood did you have? Anyway, so if you have black and white images at home, like often your mother is looking, oh, there's a photograph of you taking your first steps, you taking when you're eating solid foods for the first time, you when you whatever went to the toilet on your own, but then you come to the black and white ultrasound image, that's still you. Your mother doesn't say, oh, that's that's you with potential, or a potential you, no, that was you. So maybe not when you have children, but maybe when your children have children, those of you who are called to marriage and that, like maybe the scan pictures will look like this. Maybe in the future, you could have your grandson up on the wall at 20 weeks, looking at, looking all snug and snug as a bug in a rug, so it's a human fetus, human embryo, and that's the way it goes. But again, look, we don't always look like that. So that's halfway through pregnancy inside the mother. Say 4 weeks, you kind of look like something out of Stranger Things or Alien. Your heart beats from 18 to 21 days after conception. I don't know if you can hear this. Can you hear that? No, well, no. Okay, that's a heartbeat. But anyway, so that was a heartbeat of an unborn human at 7 weeks. Like, guys, I must say, one of the scariest and also most amazing sounds is when you hear that, like of your own child, when you hear the heartbeat, it absolutely makes you go, it's crazy. So this is a 6-week-old, say miscarried little baby, but I guess that's like 6 weeks. That's 7 weeks. That's inside the womb. So that's a photograph inside the womb of 7 weeks. So again, look, that's a massive head. Like also, if you see, like a lot of children, they think they have huge heads, but they do. Your head and your body only could become fully proportioned when you're an adult. When you're 20, 21 years of age, is your head and your body in full proportion, So maybe if you think your head is a bit big, don't worry, your body will eventually catch up. Okay, hopefully. Reflexes, all of that, blah, blah, blah. Like, the thing is, when it comes to this, if you're talking about someone, look up this type of stuff. And what do you actually yourself genuinely find interesting? That's a good thing. So then that you're not being fake about it. But at 8 weeks, everything is there. At 8 weeks in the womb, everything is there. All you need now is time to grow. You just need time to grow. But in Scotland, most abortions happen at this stage, at 8 to 9 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. But that's where that happens. So now, which one are you guys? Are you a loop, a whirl, or an arch? Have we looked there on your thumb? What are you? A loop, a whirl, or an arch? Hands up, who's a loop? Any loops here? Yeah, okay, loops. Any whirls? Yes, no whirls? Yeah. Any arches? Any arches? So, well, there you go. Well, Jade, you're one of a few. 60 to 65% of human population are loops, 35% are whirls, 5% are arches. Also, another 5%, you're a bit of a loop and an arch, or a loop and a whirl. You can be just a bit of both, but you're always one or the other, or just a slight combination of two. So, look, guys, those fingerprints that can connect you to any crime are present from 10 to 12 weeks. It's just really interesting. Like, your first 9 months, guys, was so busy. 10 weeks, you look like that. 12 weeks, you feel, there's, you cry silently, the vocal cords. The pain receptors are present at this moment. So what I say is, yes, if the pain receptors are there, well, then, they're working. But then you also have some arguments, would say, some doctors that might say there is the center of the brain that tells the human what pain is. It's inactivated till later in pregnancy. But I just know what's in front of me. If I see pain receptors, I just presume that. Anyway, So you're jumping around 16, 18 weeks, all the rest. 20 weeks, that's why you kind of look like outside. You had a lovely image inside the woman there at 20 weeks, but that's kind of what you're looking like outside. Now, this is interesting. 21 weeks, viability today. Okay, so this is baby Frieda. Yeah, baby Frieda from Germany. Yeah, she was born at 21 weeks. And see that on her wrist? That's not a Beyonce bangle. That is a wedding band. That's a girl's ring, little rings. So that's how small that baby is. And again, that is a female. That's the mother's hand right there. It's not a daddy, a big man hand. So that's how small baby Frieda is. But we thought baby Frieda, like there's a lot of babies born at 21 weeks. Maybe some of you guys could have been born prematurely. But we were over in, I bring university students to Washington, D.C. every year. I hope this year's not looking too good, but the last 4 years, I've had the pleasure of bringing university students to Washington, D.C. for the March for Life. We go to all the museums, Smithsonian museums. It's amazing. So many, it's just, and the food in America, oh my goodness. Oh, you come home like half a stone heavier or full stone. Anyway, baby Micah was born at 20 weeks and survived. Babies are being born younger and younger now. We have the technology to support life at such a young age. Also, what you'll see is you might have seen this, there is now artificial wombs that can keep animals alive, like livestock. They use it on, say, lambs and stuff. But I guarantee you in the future, we will very soon see, for certain, maybe it could be a case of cancer or something, where an unborn human could be placed in an artificial womb just for enough time to get it up to viability. So watch this space. But again, science is amazing. Anyway, now I was in a very posh school once. Okay, this school was so posh they had ponies. Okay, My Little Pony. They had a what do you call it? A polo team. Did your school have a polo team? No. What type of school did you go to? Heathens, any depravity. So this school had ponies, and I was in a debate with an embryologist. And the embryologist, she was, she said, she stood up to 200 students and said, "You're only a human when you're born into being." She went, "Born into being." And I said, "Oh, is that how you're born, is it?" I said, "Okay." I said, "Embryologist woman," I said, "Fair enough." I said, "If you're only human when you're born." This is baby Lynlee. Baby Lynlee, at 23 weeks, she had a terrible tumor growing in her butt. It's a very rare condition, but it can happen to some babies. And her heart was failing. She was dying. The doctors could have just let her die. They could have aborted her, but instead they had a C-section. Baby was born via a C-section, and if some of you might have been born by that way, incision just below the woman's belly button, and the baby was born by a C-section at 23 weeks. They took off the tumor, repaired the baby's butt, and put the baby back inside the brave mama till the 37th week. Baby Lynlee has 2 birth certs. She has 2 birthdays. She was born in January and she's born again in April. It's amazing. And I said to the embryologist woman, I said, "So when was baby Lynlee a human the first time she was born or the second time she was born?" It's like that game, "Where's the baby? There's the baby. Where's the baby? There's the baby," Anyway, she didn't like me. She didn't answer the question, and she remained quiet for the rest of the kind of debate or the panel we were on. But she had a lot of thinking to do. So, but anyway, so like this, so the science is on our side, and we just have to come up with good stories, some funny little stories, that make a point. And the thing about that is, like, baby Lynlee now, her parents say they're going to celebrate both birthdays. I'm like, yeah, right. Wait till she's 16. There's no way you're going to throw on 2 sweet 16 parties for her, and her friends will be broke. So like, this is what we have, guys. So like, again, are you human when you're born? No, like, and there's a lovely woman, Laura Klassen. She's so funny, but she has this miraculous birth canal. Like, I don't know if you've seen it. So she has this baby, and not a baby, then it's going down this birth canal, and then, oh, it's a baby. Like, it's just very funny. Like, it's different ways you can get the point across. But again, when are you human? Okay. Also, one other thing. So baby Lynlee, and many babies now, you can have operations and surgery in the womb. So some babies might not have to be actually born at that young age. They can have a correction done while they're still in the womb. So often I say is, if the unborn human at 20 weeks, 23 weeks, or whatever, can have surgery and become a patient, do they also then not become a person? So what is a patient? What is a, like what makes a person? So that is a good one to kind of like help people like to think, because it's, where do we draw the line here? Anyway, so my 24-week-old we old man baby, because the abortion law in this country is since 1967. That's like, imagine 53 years of age. This like back then, guys, you had BBC One. That was all. Black and white TV, and that's how old this abortion act is. Abortion is legal up to 24 weeks, so any one of us could have been aborted up to 24 weeks. Well, I couldn't. I was in Ireland. Anyone who was in the UK could have aborted 24 weeks by your mom for any reason. Abortion is legal, though, up to full term if the baby is deemed to have a disability. Now, when I heard this first, I'm like, oh, there's no way that is a lie. I'm like, when it comes to people with disabilities, we put them in like the front row in Tesco. They get all those parking spaces, and we make extra allowance for people with disabilities, as we should. They're part of our human family. But but the truth is, when it comes before you're born, it's okay. We can. It's a different rule for you. We can abort you up to the day before you're meant to be born, which is so sad. Like, it's just is that a just law? And most people I would talk to on the streets or in classes, they would agree. Yeah, that shouldn't be. It should be. That's a bias, or that's what do you call it? It's not a fair law, or whatever. There's discrimination. Discrimination. That's a big important word these days. Discriminate. As an Irish person, I feel that the whole time. Irish lives matter. Okay. Anyway, so 34 abortions every single day in Scotland. There's about 560 abortions in the whole of the UK every day. That's a lot of numbers. There's actually been 9 million, they say now. 9 million abortions have been in the UK since 1967. But interesting fact on this. So up here in Scotland, the Scots are crazy about independence. They're always wanting to leave the UK, and then they don't. It's like, I know it's funny. I find it funny. Like that person who doesn't want to leave the party. They give out about the house party. Oh, this is rubbish. It's rubbish. Or the nightclub. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. And they never leave. They stay there the whole night. But anyway, but the Scots had a study, the government, and they came out with this. Treasurer said that Scotland, to be self-sustaining and independent, they need to have 500,000 immigrants like me to come into the country. Now, he didn't know the significance of that number, 500,000. Well, he's pretty much saying that Scotland can't be self-sustaining unless you have 500,000 more people. But get this, there has been exactly 500,000 abortions carried out in Scotland since 1967. So this treasurer is doing the economics and saying there's 500,000 people missing. Well, we know. Well, I have a suggestion where they went, or because I do believe, I think Forrest Gump. It's an amazing movie, and Forrest Gump's mother, his mama, is very right. Every life, we have a destiny. What's my destiny, mama? Well, Forrest, but your destiny. Each of us has a destiny. We don't know. We're trying to figure it out. You guys are here in 2000 on a Tuesday night, and your destiny is linked to that. So, guys, here we go. The SUI chart. Charts are good to help us kind of put it into perspective, because again, what are the other side telling girls up and down the country, telling people, oh, it's only a clump of cells, it's not really human, it's not this, it takes away the humanity of the unborn human. So I do this often as an exercise in class, but it's better if I have steps or I go down through the rows in the room. But I start off, I say, so when so we have human embryo, okay, human embryo, and then we have a human fetus, right? And then what do you call a baby that's just born? A newborn. What do you call a 2-year-old? A toddler. What do you call a 13-year-old? A teenager. What do you call a 21-year-old who can't get a job? An adult. Welcome to unemployment. A student for life. Anyway, so human adults, human teenager, human toddler, human newborn, human fetus, human embryo. It's the same human, but just at a different stage, a different age. Now, what I say to people, I say I'm pro-equality now. I was pro-choice until I was in university. I used to say stuff like, oh yeah, like this one night I was saying, oh yeah, in the case of rape, you should definitely have an abortion because you can't have a rapist baby. That's ridiculous, So a girl stood up and said to me, her name was Pam, and Pam said, Emmett, why did I deserve a death penalty for what my father did? And I'm like, what are you talking about, Pam? Like, this is like 4 o'clock in the morning. And she said, she goes, Emmett, my dad raped my mom. I don't know who he is. I don't want to know who he is. He's a creep, but that's how I was conceived. But why did I deserve to be punished for what he did? It wasn't, I was innocent. I'm like, oh, I'm not saying that. And like, she goes, well, you are. And I said, well, yeah, actually, I am. So I just stopped talking and kind of faded into the background, But that kind of, what Pam said to me, she challenged me. And then I kind of looked at the whole area of abortion with fresh outlook, and it took me a while. It takes time to go down the rabbit hole sometimes. But the more I looked into it, I didn't like what I saw. And I'm not going to go into I would recommend yourselves for your own knowledge. Well, like there is Dr. Levantino does what each abortion, there's the RU486 drug, the 2 pills that a girl takes, say around 8-week mark. What does that do? You just you're starving of nutrition and artificial contractions. But so then there's other instruments for use after that. But to be honest, like when I looked at what abortion actually was, I just said I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. I couldn't. I just wouldn't do that to. I love animals and I love puppies. I wouldn't do that to a puppy. So why would I? I just don't. There must be a better option. So that kind of helped me, on my way and like that. So again, all I would say is when you're in a moment, you're given knowledge. You're given knowledge in university. You're given knowledge. Hopefully, this talk gives you some as well. But at the right moment, you have to say a little prayer to God, like, God, help me not to miss this opportunity. Is there something you want me to say tonight? I used to often say this. A 14-year-old boy taught me this. Actually, no, he's only 12. We're doing street evangelization, and he said, I thought I was good at it, but I wasn't. The first day was a nightmare. But at the end of the day, we were all in having a meal, and I was washing up. My team were on the wash up, and this young boy got up and he was sharing his testimony of the day. And he said, while he was out in the street evangelizing with his younger brother, these teenagers start talking down to them. So these are like 12-year-old, 10-year-old being spoken to by teenagers, and they challenged the teenagers in a good way, and the teenagers were totally won over. And then he says, for the rest of the day, then I just kept asking God, is there someone you want me to talk to today? And I'm like, whoa. I'm like 12 years of age. I'm like, that's a really good prayer. And I never prayed that before. So then the next day I went out on the street and I did that. I said, God, is there someone you want me to talk to today? And boom, straight away, man, oh man, I had an amazing conversation with a guy. He hadn't had confession in 3 years or something. He was over on his knees having confession right there we had a place for confession. But anyway, that's another talk. But guys, the information I'm giving you there now, might just that little prayer might be a good one for you. Look, is there someone you want me to share something with tonight? Maybe it's something to do with the faith, maybe because it's something with culture of life or whatever. Because if we're not going to say it, these poor unborn humans have no voice yet. They can't be heard. So we can be that. So all lives matter. It's I had this slide is about maybe 6 years old, before Black Lives Matter even started. But all lives matter. It's my friend Stephen. Stephen, he's a great wee boy. He's got Down syndrome, as you can see. But in the UK, 9 out of 10 children with Down syndrome are aborted just because they have Down syndrome. So he's alive, but every time I see a child with Down syndrome now up here in Scotland, I think, well, there's 9 others who didn't make it. And it's so tragic. I flew into Iceland last year on the way to Washington, D.C. And Iceland, it's a beautiful country, very, very expensive. But Iceland are celebrating for the last few years. They have 0 children born with Down syndrome, and they celebrate this fact. And the thing is, it's not they haven't cured Down syndrome. They are just eliminating all those who have it. So it's just so sad, like that they're actually celebrating this, and it's very, very eugenic in that. That's not a good thing to celebrate, I don't think. But then you have other little things like, say cleft palate, which looks unsightly. I'm sure some of you might know someone who has a cleft palate, because that's what you look like. There's a gap between your mouth and your nose. But then after some surgery, depends on the circumstance, you're left with a little cut above your lip. But actually now the surgeons are so good. I met a girl in a school 2 weeks ago, and she had no scar, but she had a cleft palate. But that's where you're at now. But But it's so sad to think that there are a number of unborn humans being aborted right up to maybe 36 weeks just because they don't have a perfect smile. And it just it breaks my heart when I heard that. Now on a personal note, this is me and my wife on our big day. Say like that's 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago this year. We have our 10th anniversaries there in July. But all my family are on the right, the good-looking people. Her family not so good-looking on the left. But anyway, head over heels in love. I could tell you next time if I come back to you, I can give you a talk on theology of the body and chastity and all of that. But all I say, guys, is prayer works. And you'll see my wife, that this is evidence prayer works. Jesus is listening. He's listening. Okay, but anyway, and it's worth the wait. My wife was worth the wait, and so was I. But anyway, so we were head over heels in love, and still are. But we were married for about 4 years and no sign of a baby. Like, where's the baby? What are we doing? What's going wrong here? So we had a wee investigation, but we had already talked about this. So we said, like, when we were dating, what would happen if we found out for whatever reason we couldn't have children? And my wife asked me that. It was in a lovely Italian restaurant, and without hesitation, I said, look, like any situation in life that we meet, we will face it together and we will look at our options. And adoption is probably the best one there. But, so like we knew for us, because we knew all about the, life and the different things, IVF was never an option for us. But what we did have was a few more pictures. What we did have was this natural family planning, the Crichton method of natural family planning. I'm a very strong advocate for that. Crichton, I know it's Crichton anyway, but it's fantastic. It's from America. So you have there a woman's a chart down there. That is a example of a healthy chart of a girl. But every girl's cycle is different. Every month could be different. The green days represent the days when a guy and girl can have sex and no new life can happen. And then you have the other days, then gray days represent when there's fertile mucus that keep the sperm alive inside the woman. So on day 3 there, that could say that's a Tuesday. So if a guy and girl, have sex that day, then the sperm could stay alive inside of her Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. When she ovulates, we could have that bright flash of light. And in 9 months, you'll have to give that your love a name. So we were using this to get pregnant, but my wife found out she had endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, a fibroid, and a polyp. Now, guys, any one of those is serious fertility issue for a girl. My wife had all 4 of them. We were pretty much told you're not going to have kids, but we never gave up hope. And thanks to good old St. Joseph and natural family planning, this is baby Dominic with his big head and little butt at 12 weeks. When he was born, he looks like baby Jesus. He also looks like Homer Simpson. We stoner baby. There you go. We druggy baby. I know that's him after a good feed. But Dominic, he's a big monster now. He's in school causing havoc. I can't believe he used to be this size. We were all that size. People say, it was only a clump of cells. Well, yes, I am right now a big clump of cells. I need to lose a few cells, if you know what I mean. COVID weight. And also the camera always adds 20 pounds, Anyway, so Dominic's not alone. He's got Maria. That's Maria, 12 weeks. That little girl. She's already an activist. So she's great. And then baby Noel at 12 weeks. And 3 little monkeys jumping on the bed. So that's our house at the moment. And I'm so thankful for the gifts of life, having a family, the fruit of our love. But also, the sadness of losing a child, because in November 2017, we had wee baby Daniel miscarried at 7 weeks. So we have no ultrasound image of baby Daniel. We didn't hold him. We have no memory of him in that way. But he played a huge part in our lives. That's another story as well. But like all life matters, no matter how long. I remember my own grandmother said that she had 10 children. 10 children, yes. But then she told me she had 12. I said, who's missing? She goes, Emmett, I had twins. And they died in my tummy before they were born. And she goes, but I loved them for the 7 months I carried them. And that's all that matters. Again, it's just a beautiful witness, even for me at a young age, of my own grandmother. So that's it, guys. Even those little things, like even in a moment, like you can speak life into a situation. Right now you have all these people saying, oh, you can only have, there's a one-child policy, or like Prince Harry, they're saying, or no, sorry, it's just Harry. He's not Prince anymore. It's just Harry, okay? I'm sure his bodyguard and his chef and his chauffeur just call him Harry, Anyway, so Harry and Meghan came out and said they're going to have 2 children to save the planet. So I think that's a lot of pressure to be putting on your 2 children. I think you'd want to maybe have a few more children to try and save the whole planet. But anyway, look, every time people say stuff like that, you could be like, oh yeah, sure, you have 2 kids, but when they love to have another child, because a lot of abortions happen now as well. Is like that. People who are married have already got their 2 children, and they don't want to upset the apple cart. But Pope John Paul actually said this. I don't usually share this, but Pope John Paul said, if at possible, he said, try and have 3 children. He goes, because then they have their own little community. He said, it's not as like, it's no longer you against me. They're 2 against each other, but there's a third in there. It's like a little community, and it's very healthy. And I do see that with our little monkeys now. It helps. There's 3 to bounce off each other. So anyway, that's this little thing from Pope John Paul. Look, I'm going to fly through this. This is just like, when it comes to any medication, what do you take? How does it work? What are the side effects? Okay, how does it work? So the pill, girls are on the pill for many reasons: for heavy menstruation, skin problems, acne, hair loss, or facial hair issues. There's many reasons a girl is prescribed a pill today. But how does a pill work as a contraceptive? There are 3 functions, okay? First, artificial hormones attempt to prevent the release of the egg. Same with the implant, the bar. So that's the first intention of it. But that often fails. The secondary effect is it changes the structure of the mucus in the cervix, preventing sperm traveling to the egg. So that often fails as well. And that can happen. So then the third effect is it can thin the lining of the uterus. So if that bright flash of light has happened, 1 in 800 trillion chance has occurred, then that tiny human embryo can be flushed out, causing a first trimester abortion. Now, a friend of mine, she was on the pill for 7 years. Patricia, I was actually on the mission team with her over in Ireland, and she was on the pill for 7 years, and she heard this, and she's like, she couldn't believe it. She went back to her doctor and told her this, and he said, well, yeah, that's how it works. It's a possibility. And she didn't like that. She was very, kind of pro-life in her outlook. So she did a lifestyle change, and she took herself off the pill, and she just couldn't have this happening. Now, this is before she was on the mission team and that, but anyway, it's good to know how it works and what are the side effects. And contraception is a whole other talk we could give anyway. But like I always say, poor girls. Like with girls, there's 12 or 14 different types of contraceptives that are pushed upon girls. And then you look at the guy is like 2. There's a condom and there's vasectomy. It's always the girls always bear the brunt of this stuff when it comes to fertility. So anyway, unexpected life, crisis pregnancy, unsupported life. That sums it up. My mom's going to kill me. A young girl, 13 years of age, she's every right to feel that way. And what's she been faced with? What's she listening to? What are people going to tell her? Are they going to tell her, you as a mother, you can't even look after yourself. You can't even make your bed. All the type of stuff. It's like different levels of coercion that is in society that pushes her towards what seems to be the only option for her, which is abortion. And this is it. Like, I'm never judgmental towards anyone who's had an abortion, because I know how easy, it's just because it's free over here. It's a quick fix, and all the advertising, come in quickly. The quicker you come in, the more options you have, and all this stuff. And before the girl even knows it, or she even tells her parents or anything, she could go in, have the pill, or say have the abortion, or now she could just order the pills online and have the abortion at home, and no one knows. It's just absolutely tragic. So like, when my mom's going to kill me, I saw this a few years ago in Washington. It was interesting. So like, really, her mom isn't going to kill her. She might feel that way, but really, I don't think her mom will kill her. She'll be angry or upset or whatever. She might be surprised by her mom's reaction. But then, like, if you change some of it, that's a sad reality thing there. Like, it's not, because like, this is the thing. Like, what I find with Arch, every time the girl sees the positive result in her pregnancy test, she can't unsee that. A friend of mine, she herself had 2 abortions. Margaret, a beautiful woman. But she said like, it's heartbreaking when I hear her testimony, but it's so effective. But she says, like, for me, Emmett, like, it was like as if she was being told, like, you will not be, you'll be unpregnated or something from abortion. But wasn't abortion didn't make her not a parent. It just made her a parent of a dead baby. And it just, broke my heart. But she amazing conversion. The last abortion she had, it was twins, and the one twin was aborted, the other one wasn't. She wasn't told she had twins. She went back a few weeks later and she thought there's something wrong. So the nurse said, "Oh no, you're fine. Here, look at a scan picture." And she was just pregnant. That there was twins, and the abortionist had missed the other twin. Didn't even know she had twins. So like that was a big moment for her, a start of healing, a long journey, and she's an amazing woman now who shares her story everywhere really and helps out Arch. Anyway, crisis pregnancy. There's different crisis pregnancies in your area. That's the one up here in Scotland. I also say as well, like you hear these, like, abortion when sometimes I might just give a talk and just go straight to this. So you hear rape, you hear in the case of a woman might die. Two big reasons why a woman might die is if she has ectopic pregnancy, if the unborn human embryo is stuck in the fallopian tube and not in the womb. It's growing in the fallopian tube, it's not meant to grow there. It can cause, that's an ectopic pregnancy and can cause a woman to die. What can happen there is you can remove the damaged part of the fallopian tube, the woman's life is saved, and the baby dies as a secondary side effect. The only reason that baby dies is because we don't have technology to keep it alive at that early stage yet. But say the intention there is to remove the damaged part of the fallopian tube. If the woman has cancer, she gets chemotherapy, the baby dies, that's not an abortion, because the intention is to battle the cancer. The secondary side effect can be, possibly, sometimes, if the baby might die. That's also like morally acceptable. It's very, very tragic, but that happens. I'll give you examples. So we see Annabelle and Jade there. So Annabelle and Jade were out swimming. We were swimming in what's a nice beach we're in Blackpool. We're in Blackpool, baby. And Annabelle and Jade are swimming. They're on a swimming retreat, and they get into trouble. There's a bit of a strong current. I swim out. I save Annabelle. And Jade is struggling, but I swim back to shore with Annabelle, look back, and there's Jade. She has drowned. Did I kill Jade? No. I didn't. I just prefer Annabelle. So now rewind. I swim out. I save Annabelle, and Jade, she's flapping about like a injured seal, and I just hold my hand above her head underneath the water until she stops moving because she's not going to make it, and I swim back with Annabelle. Did I kill Jade? Yes, I did. So both circumstances, poor Jade dies. Sorry, Jade. But the second time I intentionally targeted her, I killed her. So look, bad things can happen during pregnancy. People say the baby might die. Bad things can happen, but we have to just give the unborn a chance. And obviously the baby might die as well. One of the top, say, doctors, I forget his name now, but he's amazing. But he's on YouTube as well talking about this. He says he works in the sick baby ward and unborn baby ward. So every week he's faced with this. Kids with these terrible diseases in the womb and whatever. And he says, without doubt, the couples who are given options, you can have an abortion and they're strongly recommended that, or they can give birth to the baby and the baby might die straight away, an hour later, 10 hours later, a day, a week, a year later. You just don't know. Babies are so resilient. It's unbelievable. But he says, without doubt, those parents who come to him with a very sad situation and they go through the pregnancy and have their baby and hold the baby and name the baby and love the baby for however long, and then they can have a funeral and they can grieve and people can come. It's amazing. Like, they are in a much better space, because what happens then if the couple then go ahead and abort, what happens? It's usually late in pregnancy. Everyone knows the woman's pregnant. Next thing they see her and she's not pregnant. What happened? Next thing, oh, shh. It's like, shh. There's no public grieving. There's no support. There's no funeral. It's just all a shh, and it doesn't go well. The doctor said he had a beautiful moment. There was this one father, the baby died the next day, but what happened was the father got into bed with the baby. The baby was on all the life support things, so he got to kind of spend one night with his daughter, and like he says, oh, it was like amazing. He says like, and years later he was back again, but he had like a brand new newborn baby, no problem. They were going home, but he says, doctor, thank you so much for that amazing night. He says, just, I'll never forget it. And I guess it's just the way way we grieve. We're human, and we respond to situations with love, and that's what we try to do. So also, you see, still in school, no money. If the girl has no money, is that her choice? I always say we should meet say on crisis pregnancy with generosity, not judgment. Never judgment, and always generosity. So we have to step up in that area. Quickly, let's do this. We're coming to the end now, guys, before your bedtime is coming up. But this is a friend of mine, Lianna. Lianna Rebolledo is a Mexican woman. She, at 12 years of age, she was brutally and repeatedly raped by 2 guys. She was left for dead on the side of the road. And Lianna, she was brought to hospital. Someone found her. She was being looked after in hospital, being restored to health. She was in a bad way. But she then found out she was pregnant. And the doctor told her, said, you're going to have an abortion. Because abortion is your right. She was assured, you do not have to live with the horrible consequences of that horrific night. But imagine this, a 12-year-old Lianna simply asked the doctor, would the abortion heal the hurt she was feeling? Would it help her with the nightmares and the flashbacks? Would it help with any of that? And he says, well, no, it's not going to heal anything. You just won't be pregnant. So a 12-year-old Lianna said to the doctor, well, if it's not going to heal anything, I don't see the point. I don't know who this is inside of me, but I want to give this baby a chance. And I'm going to fight for this baby. And she did. She stood up to that doctor and the nurse as well. And she gave birth to her baby. And her baby is now 23 years of age. There you have her. And Lianna is 35. And she goes, I can't imagine my life without her. She's my best friend. And she says, yes, I saved my daughter's life. But during that, after the terrible rape, she just wanted to end her own life. She just could not, all those memories and the flashbacks, the nightmares, she just wanted to kill herself. But she goes, the only thing that kept her alive was that, she goes, her life was worthless, but the unborn life she was carrying deserved a chance. So she goes, yes, I saved my daughter's life, but she also saved mine. Years later, Lianna found in her 20s, she found out she is now infertile because of that horrific attack that happened that night. She can't have any more babies. And see, this often happens with Arch as well. Is like, say, initially there's a relief after having an abortion, but then maybe the next time the girl gets pregnant or that, just as a wee trigger or a big trigger to her, and like it's just either back there, or maybe it might have fertility issues, and then it all brings it all back again. So this type of stuff that, can affect you later on in life. But Arch, and there's other people like that, but Arch are really, really effective. I can vouch for Claire definitely and her befrienders. So anyway, what I say now is that, yes, I hate rape. It's a terrible violence against an innocent human being. And also, whenever you deal with this, acknowledge the hard situation. Pregnancy is not easy. A lot of time it's very, very difficult. For a 12-year-old to do this is absolutely amazing. So I just say, like, yes, I hate rape. It's a terrible violence against an innocent human being. But I also now hate abortion because it's a terrible violence against an innocent human being. So I think both the women and their babies deserve better, deserve a better option. So also think of all these terrible circumstances, the worst circumstance, a war-torn country, gang rape, something terrible. Would we ever think it's okay for a mother to end the life of this human? Yeah, so maybe 7-month-old chubby baby. No, but like also like, so, but this is the same human, but when it was 8 weeks old in the womb. And then, like, I don't know if this is going to work, but say, like I have here, this is an MRI scan. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. Hold on. You might be able to see it. Hold on now. Wait for it. Oh, can you see it? So that's an MRI scan of a human fetus at 21 weeks. And this is our technology now. Like, this is amazing. Like, this is a boy. I guarantee this is a boy. And maybe you can, next time you're phoning your mom, you can say to her, like, were you a sleepy baby or were you an active baby? Were you kicking her? Because I think that's definitely a boy. Anyway, so like that's it. So like, anyway, guys, just be a voice, meeting people where they're at. It's okay, and we're all on our own journey as well. But see all these amazing people I have in front of me. Well, amazing people, like they're all famous, but what they all have in common is they're all adopted. They went through the foster care system. John Lennon, Faith Hill. Any one of you guys have an iPad right now or an iPhone? That's Steve Jobs. Actually, Jack Nicholson, the biggest playboy in Hollywood, he once said, he says, what's your views on abortion? He goes, with my adopted background, He goes, all I can have is gratitude for my mother, for her, you know, it's all I can have is gratitude. And what an amazing, you can get that on YouTube. He's very, very good in that. So adoption is something we don't know about. I don't know if any one of you guys would know what would be the first step in to give a baby up, place a baby with adoptive family, or to, you know, because it's just never talked about. It's not free. It's not, you know, it's never even given as a real option. You know, it's crazy. But then I have so many friends who have come through the foster care system, who are adopted in adoptive family, and they're having an amazing life. You know, so we have to, you know, build it back up. You know, so, you know, there's always an alternative to abortion, and we also have ARCH as well, because, you know, we have to outlove and outcare. That's the only way we're going to change things, and we're going to help people wherever they're at. So thanks so much for listening, guys. Those of you who are still awake. Very good. So that's a kind of that's a wrap.